since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio with your hosts, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Peña, the always opinionated Paris Lilly, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
Welcome to Gamertag Radio, episode 1256. This is your host, Danny Peña, and joining me, the whole Gamertag Radio crew is up and here. We have Peter. What's up, Pete?
Yo, what's up? What's up, everybody?
Hello, man. How's everything over there, man?
Not bad. It's the weather's kind of schizophrenic in a way. Like it'll be beautiful and sunny one day, and then it's like you know what? It's a lot like Miami. It's a lot like Miami was, where like it could be sunny and beautiful, and then it turns around, and then you've got rain, and we had hail like Friday afternoon. It's wild. It's I don't know. It's other than that, it's not bad. I can't complain.
Yeah, I was telling Pete, man, I can't wait for the summer. And Pete was like, "Not me." I was like, "Okay." There's no AC over there.
It's too hot,
no
man.
AC over there.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Europeans still haven't understood the beauty and functionality of air conditioning inside a home.
All right. And also joining us is Paris. What's up, Paris?
Hey, how you doing?
Everything's good, man. How about you? 30 FPS. How's everything? Good?
Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. No, I mean, everything's good. Otherwise, can't complain. I won't complain about what I was just complaining about before we started recording, but other than that, everything's good.
It's all good. It's all good. Everybody, welcome. And remember, you can listen to our content right now, past content at gamertagradio.com. You could also find us on any podcast app. Just search for Gamertag Radio. We're there. Make sure to follow us, subscribe, and also post a review. Also, if you'd like to be part of our family discussion, here's how you could contact us.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, so we have a couple of topics here, and we're going to start off because actually yesterday we were having this conversation over here in person, Paris and I, Pete, about everything that's going on with Redfall and the messaging. And look, I'm going to start with this. I think the game is fun because we got to play the game, PC actually, the PC version, and we had a great time playing that game. You could check out the content, our impressions is there, and the thing that I've been seeing every few weeks is something about either the messaging, the marketing, something about the game that everybody gets mad. So I remember the first one that stood out to me, and I know there was other ones, was Always Online. We even had that conversation with the dev, and the team is trying to figure it out how to remove that, because you could also play that game offline. Then it was another one that stood out to me was IGN. They had a preview video of the game, and the person that was actually playing wasn't really playing it that good. He was just running around. He or she was running around and just shoot and then run, shoot, run. It just seemed pretty bad, like the presentation that they had, the gameplay capture there. And now where the tweet that we got to see just recently that the game on consoles was only going to be 30 FPS. And originally, when we got to play, it was 60 at the preview event, and all the videos that we got to see was all 60. And now, less than a month, we get to see this message, and people are just mad again. So, I just want us to have the conversation of your thoughts about this, and do you think it's going to hurt Redfall when it officially comes out? And let's start with Paris, because I know we had that conversation recently. So
actually, I think we should start with Pete, because I'm very curious what he thinks. I'm serious, because I've talked about it already. I talked about it on XCast. I've talked about it on social media, but I've really not heard what Pete had to say. So I'm curious.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, Pete.
Fine. I'll kick it off. I'm disappointed. I I said it on Twitter that it's a game that should be releasing with full features day one. I think it's something that we as consumers, as fans, as gamers have been complaining about way too often and almost seeming to be ignored on a regular basis, where we just want the game to come out as it is. Well, come out the way it should be, fully baked with everything, day one. The fact that we're not getting a fully baked 60. Look, for me, it's not going to be that big of a deal because I'm playing on PC and I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have this problem. But for those that have invested into the Xbox console ecosystem, you're not going to be getting the true experience, and it's not fair, especially when you're playing you're playing a first person shooter. You're any type of shooter that relies on performance, smooth game, to be able to play with, a fast-paced action game with Twitch response requirements to be able to shoot your targets. It's not fair to the consumers. And I think we should be I'm fairly certain that folks at Arcane are all hearing it, and I'm sure that they're doing their best. And I don't know if this is more of a marketing push, if this is a requirement based on their contract to deliver the game via a specific time window, but the gaming industry at some point needs to take a stand to say no more of this this rhetoric and narrative that the game has to come out, and it's okay if it comes out incomplete, but we'll patch it along the way and get it back to the way it was, right? There's been too many issues over the last 6 months with regards to Redfall. That's just not right. It was originally advertised as a game you could play solo. And then in February, you require an online connection full time. They said that they'd remove that, but we don't know when it's going to happen. And like I said, it's not like I want to, judge or lambaste our peers in the industry, but like you said, that IGN gameplay did not help whatsoever. They didn't play the objective, didn't play the way it was supposed to play, or the person that was, he would go up and he would shoot he would shoot the enemy and then run back. He wasn't playing the objective as you're supposed to do in games like that. And now we hear that it's, there's a delay, which is becoming all too common in the industry, whether it's Hello Games, whether it's, hell, even this game has been delayed. Starfield's been delayed. But was that delay that Arcane put onto this enough to get it to where it needs to be? How much longer do they need to ship a game complete, right? I think the last delay put it at like 8 months, I think, from the original target release. And it wasn't enough to get to where they can launch it with a full 60 FPS mode for everybody. I said this on Twitter, like I said earlier, this game, along with any other game, should not ship incomplete. It needs to ship as a complete game at launch. We cannot continue to give devs and publishers, as hard as they work. I want to stress that enough. It's not like they're not putting in the effort. They are busting their humps day in and day out to deliver the best experience they can. But, we have to stop somewhat giving a free pass on this, because it's releasing an incomplete game is just not right. And then there's another thing. I think Colt said it on his show that, something about performance issues, and you guys were playing it on PC. Like you said, Danny, did you guys did you guys experience any frame rate or gameplay performance issues? Because the way Colt made it seem is like they were playing on these 10-year-old, workstations, but I'm, being in IT, I did my research. Those are ThinkStation P520s. Those are workhorses. Those are more than enough to be able to perform, more than adequately for the playback. So did you guys see any of that? I'm just curious, because I wasn't able to participate.
We played on the same exact machines that he did. I think, and I love Colt, but I think he kind of over-exaggerated the level of the PCs. Were there some performance issues while we played? Yeah, but it's a preview. So it's not something that I'm going to sit here and judge the game on, because it's preview.
Right.
There's a reason we weren't. Here's why. Again, this is my theory. No one said this directly, but there's a reason why they gave us B-roll. We weren't allowed to capture our own footage, because any performance issue or whatever, anything that would be shown in a preview, people are going to judge that as the final product. And that's not fair to the game. I mean, the developers deserve the opportunity to finish optimizing the game, and it's judged for its final product, not for what preview footage would potentially be. So I get why we weren't able to capture our own footage and show it. And to the point, we played on PC. We weren't playing on Xbox. So at no point am I using that as a gauge to say what the frame rate's going to be on a console, because I didn't play on a console. So, and I know I'm kind of just diving into the whole point of what you're saying, Pete, but this is why it was disappointing. But I'll stop talking right now. I'll let you finish your point.
No, that was it. I wanted to see. I wanted to hear your two's opinions on that.
All right. Well, then,
outside of what you guys recorded.
Yeah. So to kind of just continue on that. So yeah, we went to the preview event. We played on PC. Couple hiccups here or there. I even at one point ran into a bug, and the developer even joked, "Hey, help! Thank you for helping us, to work on the game, as far as bug squashing by finding that," which is fine. And that's not something that I'm going to talk about in a preview or complain about or whatever, because I get it. It's a preview. This is not final code, so they're going to continue to work on it and optimize it. But to the overall point of this discussion, and why we're even talking about this today, I mean, it is disappointing that you wait until less than a month before launch. We know the game is about to go gold, and you say, oh, by the way, we can only give you 30 frames per second on, and I'm more concerned with the X, not the S. We can only give you 30 frames per second on the Series X, and you have to wait until an undetermined date for the 60 frames per second patch. That is disappointing, because it is bare minimum information. At this late date, you need to provide additional context. My issue isn't so much that it's 30 frames. If the game was just 30 frames and it was 30 frames, hey, it is what it is. I mean, think of Gotham Knights or whatever. At that point, you make the decision on if this is something that you can accept and you go play it. But knowing that they were targeting 60 frames, and we're in IT, we get it. Clearly in the development roadmap, the target was to hit that a stable 60 frames per second at launch. They realize here at this late date, as they're going to gold, we're not going to be able to get it done in time. That's why you saw that tweet, right? That's fine. Stuff happens all the time. Your options are then either you go ahead and do what you're doing now, you put it out, provide some context as to why this happened at this late date, because clearly there were expectations that on the Series X, you're going to be able to play at 60 frames per second, or you delay it. Obviously, they're not delaying it at this point. If they were, they would have said it. So I think a lot of the negative comments, the disappointment that we've seen, the conspiracy, these Steve reasons as to why, all of that could have been negated with more context. I mean, it's that simple. I'm not upset that it's 30 frames per second. It happens in gaming all the time. It's weird that you would allow the game that's coming out of the gate for these are now your $70 games, right? This is a $70 game. This is the quote unquote next gen only game coming from Xbox Game Studios. Your first one is coming in hot. Because the truth of the matter, that's what's happening right now. It's coming in hot. If developers had more time, it would have 60 frames per second. This wouldn't be an issue. But it's coming in hot because they feel like they have to hit this date to put the game out instead of pushing it back. Personally, push it back to July. If they could get the 60 frames and all that, and it's ready in July, and it's fully feature complete, the always online components taken out, if they can do everything so that the game is 100% feature complete, I personally would delay it. Clearly, there's reasons that are beyond our pay grades that they're putting it out when they're putting it out. Else, they probably would be delaying it. I would rather sit here and be complaining about, oh, see, you didn't meet your 12-month mandate and it's delayed. I would rather have that than now we're complaining about, does this game's not gonna, it doesn't have all the features in it. It's not playable the way that I want, because what's going to happen with a lot of people is, and I shouldn't even say a lot, because let's be honest about one other thing here. Most people don't care about frame rate. That the average person that's gaming is not locked in like we are in the show, engaging on social media, listening to podcasts. The average person, Redfall, and they're going to go pick it up and they're going to go play it. They probably won't even know if it's 60 frames or 30 frames. I mean, we obviously will, because we're more the hardcore audience. But of that hardcore audience, people they're not going to play it. They're going to wait. They're going to be like, I'm waiting until the patch. But the problem is, I don't know if the patch is coming in a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. I don't know. Is it going to be on the Xbox 12? I don't know, because you didn't tell me. And that's what I'm saying. Give me a range. We are targeting July. We are targeting November or whatever it is. Again, and this is part of the problem, the fact that I'm even about to throw this conspiracy theory out there, but maybe it's they don't think they're going to get that 60 frames per second patch until the end of this year or early 2024. That's a problem, if that's true. But the fact that I'm even saying that is a problem, because I should not be theorizing on this. You should be giving me a range for when I can expect it, because I think a lot of people are going to want to wait. And we've still not played Redfall in co-op. So I don't know if this is a game that's going to have a lot of replayability beyond me going through the characters. And maybe that's it. Do I want to do all that at 30 frames and then put the game down and be done? Or is it something that when the 60 comes out, I'm going to want to jump back in and play it? I don't know. I get people that are like, we're overblowing this. It's not that big of a deal. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. I think Redfall, the game, playing it will be fine. I enjoyed my time playing Redfall. I did. Frame rate is subjective as far as how it matters to you. So in that sense, I get that it's going to be a big deal for some people. Some people it's not going to be. It's just the fact that everything about this game, everything that we've been told about this generation of gaming on Xbox says that 60 frames per second is the standard. This is coming from your internal studios. So we have an expectation of 60 frames per second. So if it's not going to be that, you need to tell us. Again, if they'd have told us this in December, I don't think this is as big of a deal. If they're like, well, we're only doing 30, we're going to maybe down the road, we'll see if we can get it up to 60, but it will be 30 at launch. But you wait until less than a month before launch to tell us that. That's the issue right now, with very little context attached to it. I'll say this and then I'll be quiet. Mm-hmm. Taking it to Starfield, because obviously now that's the next one people are going to be looking at.
Oh, boy.
Todd Howard has hinted, and I've already told you this, Danny, Lex Friedman podcast. Todd has basically already told us that don't expect over 30. I personally don't think that's going to happen. I think there will be a 60 frames per second mode for Starfield, and we're talking console, obviously. But if it is 30, whatever this Starfield Direct's going to be in June, say it. That's all. Say it. I don't think it, because again, if they're going to say for our vision of the game, because at the end of the day, it's up to the developers. Whatever their vision for the game is what the game is. If 30 frames per second meets their vision for the game, okay. We'll judge the game accordingly on that. And that's all it comes down to. But tell us. Don't wait till August 18th and go, oh, by the way, it's only going to be 30 frames. No, you're having a Starfield Direct. It's getting extended time where we get to sit down with the game and talk about all this stuff. Tell us then. That's all I'm saying. Give us more context when you're targeting less than what we're considering is the standard now in the next generation. And 60 frames per second is the standard in this generation. It just is. You can hold your breath until your face turns blue and say that it isn't, but that is what has been the marketing speak for this generation of gaming since 2020. 60 frames per second, 4K at various degrees, checkerboard rendering, like all the wizardry in the background, whatever, quality modes, performance modes. But there's a tier when you play a game that should have 60 frames per second. That's all I'm saying. Cyberpunk has 60 frames per second on the Series X as an example, right? We look at the PlayStation. There's various first-party games that have 60 frames per second. Hell, they got 120, 40 frames to 30. Like, there's whatever you want to choose. Choose your own adventure as far as gaming for frame rate, right? So we have that expectation now. So when I think of Xbox Game Studios, when I think, again, Redfall, Starfield, we know Forza is about to come. Hellblade 2 is probably this year, knock on wood. There needs to be a 60 frames per second or above mode on all these games. There just should be, because that's what you sold us. You told me that the Xbox Series X is the world's most powerful console. So I have an expectation of that baseline frame rate. As trivial as that may be, that's expectation. So if you're going to veer off from that and do something different, you need to tell us and give us context as to why. That's all. Sorry, I know that was long.
No, it's all good. So I know you mentioned about Starfield, Paris, but do you think? Okay, let's just say we get to see the presentation of Starfield, and it wasn't mentioned there. Is that going to also hurt the game? I don't think so. I think they're gonna do different ways on explaining about, like, either if this is 30 or 60 outside of that direct.
Here's what's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen, Danny. Starfield Direct, right? Todd's up there showing the game. Everything's looking great. Yeah, they don't say anything about the frame rate. And again, this is an assumption on my part. We know Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase, LA, whatever they're going to wind up doing, there's going to be a presence in Los Angeles on June 11th, right? There's most likely going to be representatives of Xbox doing interviews, right? I would imagine Pete Hines, people like that from Bethesda are doing interviews too, because they're going to have a big reveal of all these games. Obviously, the Starfield thing. Let's just pretend it's Phil. Let's just pretend we're sitting down with Pete Hines. Literally, we're sitting down with Pete Hines right after the Starfield Direct.
Sure.
They don't talk about frame rate. What do you think the first question I'm going to ask is?
Mm-hmm.
What's frame rate Starfield? So
we're not ready to talk about that at this time.
And if you're not ready
that's
to
possible.
but if you are not ready to talk about it on June 11, 2023, and that game comes out on September 6, 2023, that is a problem. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm saying. Avoid that question. You know how you avoid that question? Answer it in the direct. Done. Now I don't have to ask it, because now you've told me it's 30 or it's 60. Now, maybe you say it's 30, which obviously people will go, really? It's only 30? Now you're going to have to provide some additional context as to why it's 30. But if you just say it's 60, we're done.
Yeah.
Yes, we will have a performance mode in Starfield to have it playable in the Xbox Series X at 4K 60 frames per second, 1440p 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series S. Done. Now, if you say 30... Now, if you say 30, then Todd needs to come out there and be like, look, we decided to target 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S because we feel the cinematic vision of Starfield is best played at this blah, 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 blah. Done. Now you know. Now you can go judge the game when you play it and see if it was worth playing at 30, or guess what? Go spend $4,000 on the PC and play it at 60. I don't know. I'm just telling you, that's what'll happen.
So question.
Go
ahead.
No, I was gonna ask, like, look, I get, Paris, that you want them to be straight up and say it, and it all depends how they say it. Like, I agree with you. If they say it the right way, I think it'll be good. Or they could even say it, like, when they're on stage and they're talking about the direct before the actual presentation, they could announce it there, like similar to what Sarah Bond, she was like, oh yeah, this game is going to be exclusive for Xbox, and then they show the video, right? Mm-hmm. Todd Howard could do that right before the presentation, mm-hmm. right? The thing is, let's just say, this is a big if, let's say if it's 30 frames per second, let's just say, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's going to cause console war nonsense, media with the stupid clickbait headlines, like all that stuff, just because they're being upfront, like, hey, this game is going to be like this. And personally, for me, I don't care. I really don't care if it's 30 or 60. I would just joke around about that stuff. I just want a great experience. I just don't want to see all these clickbaits articles and YouTube and all that stuff. Go ahead, Paris. Yeah.
Okay, so I raised my hand because I have to counter that and say, so what's better, not saying it? That's even worse.
Oh man, I don't know. It's gonna be complicated.
No, seriously.
But it's not us. It's the marketing. It's the marketing.
Because you're talking about the console war nonsense, which is stupid.
It's small.
We get.
It's small. And it's small.
But
and it's small.
If you don't address it until the last minute, that's worse. I would rather them come out the gate telling me what to expect versus not telling me anything, and then at the last minute, I shouldn't have to assume, I guess is my point. Don't have me assuming. This is your big reveal for that. Like, we completely veered off for Redfall, but this is your big reveal. It's your big reveal for Starfield is June 11th. This direct rumored. We've seen the rumors that it potentially is like a 30-minute presentation for it, right? Within those 30 minutes, it'll take you 30 seconds to address it, and it's done. Done. That's all I'm saying. Look, whatever the script is right now, edit it and make sure it's in there. That's all I'm saying. Look, I'll say it this way. If I were presenting it and I were sitting down in the writer's room right now and we were editing the script, I'd be like, I would say, we're not going to mention the frame rate. I would say that. I would literally say that. If I was hosting the Starfield Direct and I was presenting it and I did not see them addressing this at all, I go, we're not going to talk about the frame rate? I go, I don't think that's a good idea if we don't. That's what I would say. Being in the room, I would say that. I would be that voice saying, I don't think that's a good idea to not address it, because I think you answer a bunch of questions before they're even asked. And even the ones that will be asked after, you've now given some clarity to it. So that if it is 30, you can explain directly why it's 30, not just a tweet. Putting out, imagine that. Imagine Bethesda on August 11th puts out a tweet that says Starfield will have a quality mode at 4K 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series S and 1440p on the Xbox Series S. Imagine that.
And that's
Twitter,
anything else.
Twitter will burn down. It'll freaking implode. Elon will lose his mind.
Let's hope we still have Twitter by then. Okay, that's a different conversation altogether.
We'll go to Blue Sky. Well, I'll go to Blue Sky because I'm on there, not you guys.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, question: would the messaging be more palatable if they said 60 FPS on Series X and 30 or maybe even 45 FPS on Series S?
And that's the funny thing. If the S was 30 and the X was 60, who cares? At that point, the S,
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, the S is the supplement console. It's the secondary console. It's not meant to be the thing. The issue, like I said, bringing this back to Redfall, is the world's most powerful console is doing 30. When you were saying you wanted it at, you're telling us you were targeting 60, the fact that a patch is coming. So it wasn't that this was always the case. You were going to have 60. So the fact that the Series X isn't doing 60, that's where the disappointment comes in. And that's when I wish we had more context as to why they aren't able to hit that at launch. And part of this is also, because again, we know delays and stuff happen, but part of all this, going back to Redfall, is you already delayed it a year. And here we are a year later, and you're still not hitting an optimization target. That's the concerning part. That's where people are like, this game is coming in hot. And we've had, let's just be honest here, there's 3 distinct cases we've had since 2020 of games coming in hot and not living up to expectations. Obviously, the poster child is Cyberpunk 2077, Battlefield 2042, and Halo Infinite. Those are the 3 poster childs for that right now, where you launch games incomplete, not ready, not optimized, missing feet. So people see that this is a red flag that, oh my God, Redfall is going to do the same thing. And it's being judged on that before people even get their hands on it because of those lessons learned of these previous titles. So this is why I'm saying you provide additional context to this. So you get ahead of, Danny, I can't remember if you walked in or not. I was in that crazy ass Spaces when all this went down.
Oh,
right?
I was in that
crazy ass Spaces. These Xbox fans losing their damn mind over this. The conspiracy theories that were coming out. If this is Game Pass's fault, I'm like, what? Game Pass has nothing to do with this. And whenever I hear that, and I don't know, I'm tangenting slightly, but whenever I hear in the community, Game Pass is ruining all this because Game Pass is now is lowering the quality of the games. That's nonsense. There is not a developer on this planet that is not trying to make the best game that they possibly can. That period. I don't care what the game is. I don't care if it's a quadruple A or a single A. They're always trying to make the best game they possibly can. A subscription service, they're going, well, you know what? It's on Game Pass. Man, we ain't got to worry about that. We just let it slide. That is not happening. That is never going to happen. Period. So when I hear, this is why I go in those crazy spaces, by the way, because I try to go in there and be a voice of reason to say, in a respectful way, y'all know what you're talking about. And here's why. Because of stuff like this, because these PR and communication and marketing teams need to add additional context to certain messages like this. I'm sorry. And, we know a lot of people, that's all that stuff, but I'm sorry. Whoever greenlit that tweet, they needed to have a conversation with them, because seriously, if I was in the room when that happened, like, don't put that tweet out alone. Put something on Xbox Wire, I don't know, Bethesda.net, something. Add some additional context to that. Have someone from Redfall in a video talking about it, something. We're too close to the launch of this game to just put out a tweet. There needs to be more information, period. Especially after the preview. See, here's the other problem with it. You did this after the preview period. You did this after people like ourselves had an opportunity to sit down and talk to the creative team. Because if we'd have known this before the preview, what do you think one of the questions we would ask was? It'd have been that. Hey, because think about it. We asked about, what was the first thing I asked? I asked about the Always Online. I asked about that because I knew that was a hot button topic that people wanted more context on. And it got answered. So if they would have said, well, we're working on the patch for 60 and it's coming at a later date, my question would have been, hey, when can we expect this patch?
Wait,
you know what I'm saying?
You asked that question?
No, I said I would have.
Oh, it sounded like you have. I'm like, wait,
no. I'm saying, hey, stop with this timeout stuff. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying, if we'd have known this, I would have asked that, is the point. A lot of people would have asked this. So you did it after the interview rounds. Yeah. You're dropping this. So now we can't ask that question directly. This is the point I'm making. So that's why you need to provide additional context to it, because that would have been one of the questions that the media would ask. And, I saw people getting mad. Well, y'all went to this preview period. Y'all didn't know about this? No, we didn't know about it because we played on a PC and it's a preview. So I'm not worried about the frame rate during a preview. But if I'd have known that you could hit your target during the preview period, I would have asked why. That's all.
Yeah, and P, I know you want to ask a question, but
no, I asked my question. I asked my question.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. I'm wondering why we didn't get to play co-op, because this game is also promoted as a co-op game everywhere. Co-op, 4 players, right? But when we get there, single player. So I don't know. Maybe it wasn't ready at that moment or whatever, but I don't know. I just hope everything works out. That highlights a month out.
You're not highlighting a core feature that you've been advertising since day one. Mm-hmm. The fact that it's that you're not letting, whether you want to call yourself influencers, media, journalists, bloggers, whatever the hell. The fact that you advertise 4-player couch co-op, blah, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden people can't see it in action. That highlights, going right back to what I said at the beginning, there's something else fundamentally wrong potentially on this game. It's
coming in hot. That's what's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's disheartening. Yeah. And I understand, fine, whether it's Arcane or Bethesda, whomever has a target to ship that, but it's not ready. Dude, somebody has to speak up. Somebody has to say, I'm sorry, it's not ready. It'll launch when it's ready to launch. And if that means that there's egg on its face to whomever, whether it's Phil or it's Aaron or whomever at Xbox or it's whomever it is at Arcane, etc. Somebody, it sounds poor, but somebody's got to fall on that sword and say, it's not ready. We are taking time to release it.
You know how you deliver that message? It's simple. We know we promised that we were going to release Redfall on May 2nd, 2023, but we need additional time because we're committed to delivering a quality experience. We do not have a certain date yet, but as soon as we do, we'll give it to you.
Exactly.
Done. Who's mad? Look, you'll get the weirdos that, your promise was 12 months. Yeah. You're always going to have them. But normal, rational people will hear that and go, okay, cool. I'll wait. Because guess what? At the end of the day, see, here's the other thing. We love to talk about Game Pass. Oh, Game Pass. And Game Pass is great. Things are great value. We know all that. but the stats, the statistics tell us most people that will play Redfall will spend $70 to play it. We know that. So I would rather wait to give you my $70 for a feature complete optimized experience than to give you my $70 for something that's coming in hot and I'm missing certain things that I would care about. Again, we're in the next generation. If you're telling me, again, as a consumer, you're telling me spend my $500 on a Series X, which you've told me is the world's most powerful console. You're now telling me I have to spend $70 to play your next generation only games. I have certain expectations. And one of those features you're not delivering at launch. That's just the fact of it. And if you're not going to deliver that at launch, and I know I'm a broken record at this point, explain why, not a tweet. That's all I'm saying. Don't just give me a tweet. You got to give me more information on that. I'm shocked that happened this week. I really am. I'm not shocked that they didn't deliver 60. I'm shocked at how they told us. That's what shocks me.
Yeah, and they've been quiet ever since after that tweet went live, But
yeah,
one thing I want to ask both of you, because before we go to the next topic, but I'm wondering, and I had this conversation with Paris a couple of days ago where I was saying, you know what, for the showcase. For the Xbox showcase, I want to see release dates. Maybe have one or a couple games announcements, coming soon or whatever, or not mention release dates. But I think the whole we're gonna show you games that's coming out within the 12-month period, and we haven't really seen much about that ever since. I hope we don't get to see that during the showcase. I want to see dates, either 2023 or the month or the official date of all these games that they were announced during the previous showcase, man. I think the whole not showing anything, I think it's going to be bad for Xbox, man, because people are just getting, I feel like we're giving Xbox a lot of chances, like, okay, you know what, it's the pandemic, or take your time working on games, and whatever, different reasons, right? But it's getting to the point like, okay, how long are we going to be doing that? You get what I'm saying? So I just want to hear your thoughts about that, Pete,
But see, this goes back to what we've been talking about for like basically the last 15, 20 minutes, whatever. It's marketing.
Actually, it's 40 minutes.
Whatever.
Go ahead.
Wow. Jeez, it's messaging. It's messaging. It's saying, it's being open. It's being transparent. It's telling your consumers, whether it's your consumers, whether it's your shareholders and stakeholders, tell the truth. It's what you want in any kind of, and look, we'll make this relationship talk radio all of a sudden real quick. Okay. The one way to make sure that your relationship stays in a fantastic, blissful state is open transparency.
Yeah, of course.
And you apply that to this exact same situation. You're open, you're transparent. Like Paris said, look, we messed up. We're trying to target the next greatest, Redfall experience. And we right now are not about to achieve that. And we want to make sure that is what we hand to you. So we're going to delay the launch by XYZ, whatever. Boom. That's all it takes. And that's exactly what it means. Every single developer, publisher, et cetera, needs to adopt that. And I don't know why we even have to say that. Like, right? It just be open and honest. Say, look, it's not ready for prime time. When it's ready, we will deliver. Right. And I get it from a business perspective. You've got timelines and you've got scope creep on projects. And that always, timeline is key. Right now, the gaming industry has such a bad track record with game launches either not hitting targets, whether it's game engine related, whether it's crunch related, whether it's code related, whether it's Massive and Division messing up a patch that launched, whatever. We have a fundamental timeline project management issue in video games, and messaging is the only way to combat that in any way, shape, or form. Open transparency, tell them what the problem is. You don't have to go into 100% detail, but we have a problem. We're working to solve it, and we'll provide an update at a later date. That's it. And I get, we all want we all want our games. As a gamer, I'm taking podcast hat off. As a gamer, I want the game now, but as a pragmatic realist, I understand the situation as well. Just take your time.
Yeah, but it's not even about us like we want the games now. It's more of the messaging. You can't be saying last year, here's the games coming in the next 12 months, and then none of those games are already out. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I'd rather keep it real and not say anything until they are officially ready than saying, here's the games coming out in the next 12 months. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. That's just me. But what about you, Paris? Anything else from that? Or we?
I think I've talked a lot on the subject. So
no, it's all good. No,
yeah,
I think this is important. I think this is a great conversation because it's like, I know you're saying not to say that on the tweet, and it's all about keeping it real and just say to the masses up front, but they did that last year with the whole 12 months. And then you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's very complicated situation because we don't know what's going on really.
But see, that's what I'll go back again. I don't care about the 12-month thing. It was a target that clearly has already been broken with Forza and Starfield. So at this point, there's nothing that says Redfall has to be in that 12 months. If it isn't, and again, all you got to say is, look, we know what we said a year ago. We're not reaching that because we want to make sure we're delivering a quality experience. They're doing the same exact thing with Starfield and Forza. Because if that was the case, Starfield and Forza would also be coming out before June. And they're not because neither of those games were ready. So, yeah, maybe the Redfall thing isn't ready on a smaller scale than those other two because clearly those two games needed more optimization time. But the truth of the matter is, so does Redfall. It needs more time because you're not delivering something that you said. Well, they didn't explicitly say 60, but it was very highly implied that 60 was coming at launch. And even in your tweet, you said a patch for it is coming later. So we'll never know the 100% truth on why it's still coming out at 30. All I'm saying is if it's coming out without a feature that most people were expecting, give us more context in a tweet. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on because we've been talking about it for...
Well, I tried to move on and you asked me to talk more, so I did.
Hey, we got to continue the conversation. Anyways, Pete, we've been playing, and I know you also got to play XDefiant, and I play with Paris online, man. But I would like to get your thoughts about this shooter, man. Closed beta. The reason why I'm asking you because you always been like the one that loves first person shooters. Mm-hmm. You love Call of Duty, PUBG, Apex, etc., man. But personally, for me, I really enjoy the game. Like it's really, really good. There's a couple of things I feel like they need to work on. I feel like some of the weapons are way too overpowered, and like the sniper and a couple other weapons, I'm like, that's too much. But overall, I think it's really good, and I would like to see more of the modes that I played previously during the preview that's not available in the closed beta yet. One of them is Hot Shot. Really enjoy that mode a lot. But yeah, your thoughts overall, man, about XDefiant.
So if you are any sort of fan of Ubisoft, You know that the one thing that they've always sorely lacked is an arena shooter, right? It's, and I don't know if it's something that they've ever hung their hats on, right? It's always been third person, or even first person, whether with Rainbow Six, which is what I think that's their bread and butter, right? In my personal opinion, Rainbow Six is one of those genre defining shooters. It just works. They've been going for, was it season 17, 18 or something like this now? Well past, it's probably now 9 years old, and it's still hitting right hard. Like you've got the 6 Invitational, you've got teams globally just doing work, and it's amazing to see. So it's interesting to see that they put some investment into an arena type shooter, considering the landscape, right? Call of Duty is obviously the big beast in when you talk about arena shooters. Games try to latch on to it, but for the most part, it's a Call of Duty world, unfortunately. So to see a game come around that, it might seem a little premature to try to say that it's a COD killer or whatever.
No, I don't see that. I don't see that at all.
But it absolutely will take players away from it. Now, we're not on the level of we're going to see a 30, 40, 50% drop in the player base or whatever. Maybe not to that extreme, but for now, and yes, it's new. It's the new hot chick in high school. So, everybody's like, ooh, but it is fun. And it is taking people out of that initial conversation. From the conversations, from everything that I've been looking into, we've got 14 maps launching. Most of them are based on existing environments, whether it's from the Division, whether it's Rainbow Six, whether it's Call of Duty, or not Call of Duty, sorry, whether it's Ghost Recon. You're going to see some environments, hell, maybe even Far Cry. I don't know. But they are implementing as well some original maps. There's one is like the Red Panda Arena, which is a nod to the Division. There's, if I'm not mistaken, I know Mike Rubin is running, game development for this, but you've got a former Call of Duty developer, but you've also got other former Call of Duty developers working with Ubi on this title. I love the fact that there's a focus on skill and gunplay and not like the supers or the ultimates that you can and do have. But if you like arena shooter types, this is right up your alley. You've got 5 different factions, and it's cool because you see them taking little bits and pieces from like the Ubisoft universe, right? You've got cleaners, which are the big hulking fire guys from the Division. You've got phantoms, which is a nod to the Ghost Recon, which are more tanks. They throw up barriers. It does kind of remind me of the Titans in Destiny because they throw up the big shields. You've got Libertad from Far Cry 6, which are healers. They throw out boosts and things like that. You've got Echelon, which is from Splinter Cell, which are like spies from, if you go back to Team Fortress 2 mentality. Digital ghillie suits and intels where they go completely invisible or they can basically wall hack and see through the walls. And then you've got DedSec from Watch Dogs, which are the tech guys that do hijack and they throw out spider bots. Considering that this is a beta, it's rather well put together, right? You've got the shooting arena that lets you go through there, check out your gun, practice on recoil control. You get to practice as all of the factions, and I'm impressed so far. I mean, having played this in the early alpha phases and providing feedback back to Ubisoft, this is one thing I do have to say is that Ubisoft has always done this rather well, is always leaning on its community to get feedback and acting on it. We've seen it in the Division, we've seen it in Division 2, and I'm glad to see that has carried over into this. Does it have some glitches? It's a beta. It's what is expected to it. I think last night they just did they forced everybody offline and did a complete new server and client update to everybody.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they're working on it. They're putting in a lot of time and effort to make sure that this beta, and I think it goes on till the 22nd or 23rd of April.
10 days overall. 10
so
days
you've
overall.
got plenty of time if you want to check it out. Go on, watch YouTube or Twitch, and I believe people are giving out codes to access. But if you get a chance to get in, it looks like it's a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll be able to jump in. I know, Danny, you and Ree were playing a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to join you, but I have been playing here on my side. I'm having a good time. Tip of the hat to the Ubisoft folks. It's a lot of fun. It's a good departure from the current Ubisoft games that are out. So I'm glad to see that this fills that little space or this little niche of arena shooter where it's fast paced. As far as overpowered guns, I know you're probably going to say AK, M4, and MP5. But I mean, if you really think about it, those are usually the look, and there goes Danny. If you're watching the stream, you can snipe it, you can grab a code. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Like I said, if you enjoy arena shooters, this is going to be right up your alley, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, my faction is cleaners all the way. What's your favorite, Paris, out of all the?
Yeah, I've been playing mostly as the cleaners as well. Basically, just echoing, everything that you guys have already been saying. I mean, it's fun for what it is. Do I think this is going to be some big, super massive hit? No, but I think it potentially could find a niche. It's just really just going to being free to play, obviously, finding its audience, having a fair but just battle pass that people are willing to invest in is obviously going to be the key to it. So we'll see. Yeah. But I've enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah, I wonder how long they're going to wait until the official launch. I think maybe, potentially I could see this during the Ubisoft Forward event that they're having in June. They could say the game is available now and people start playing it and everything. I could see I
think there's a high probability coming out of that we're going to, even if it's not available now, but definitely a date that'll be soon.
Yeah.
I don't see this going through the summer and it's not officially out to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's way too many games coming out later this year. Might as well just release it for the summer, man.
Yep.
Around that time.
And honestly, it kind of seems like that title that you could drop if the continuing development process goes well for them. Mm-hmm. They could drop this at a Summer Games Fest type situation and be like, play XDefiant out right now. Boom, done.
Why Summer Game Fest? I could do it on their own.
You know what I mean, though. I'm just saying. In that case,
you see what we have to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we have to deal with. This is why I put that tweet out the other day. I was like, I was almost done in 2020. It's him, 100% him. I was like,
but I was the one. I was the one that stopped him. Like, you better not quit. You better not quit. It's all good. All right, we're gonna wrap it up because we're running out of time here. But yeah, it was a great conversation, man. We talked about Redfall and Xbox for like almost 40 minutes or so, man. So, but hey, we're passionate. I just want this game to be a huge success, and I think it's gonna be successful. The game overall, So, one question, because I know Paris brought up the Cyberpunk launch. It's 60 FPS. Was that during launch? That was way after, right? Not during launch.
Now I'm trying to remember. I want to say, yeah, it was after launch because I know specifically the S they patched in 60 after launch, but I think you might be right. It might have been on the X as well.
See, that when you mentioned it, I'm like, really? I don't remember that. I just want to ask that question. I know people probably behind the scenes like, yo, what? So I just want to say that. Am I right? I think it was
the S got a 60 upgrade with this 1.6 patch.
That's what it was. Okay, great. Perfect. Awesome, man. But now everyone head over to gamertagradio.com, listen to our past episodes. Also, you can find us on any podcast app. Just search for Gamertag Radio. We're there. Subscribe, follow us, and also, more importantly, post a review. Also, if you'd like to be part of our family discussion, if you have questions, if you have feedback, do you agree, disagree of the conversation we had on this episode or previous episodes, this is how you could contact us.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, we're going to be out here. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to episode 1256 here at Gamertag Radio. Until next time, we're out. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.